zakat asnaf is good, but if you cannot get, if you don't know who get the zakat asnaf, even if you know they don't want to talk to you, then you have to go back to the zakat institution lah. So at least we have some. That means you must have, before you do research, you must have directly. I mean, you have to talk with people at least from the institution lah, zakat institution, majlis agama. At least you if something bad happen, you know where to go. In terms of data lah. So data is very important. Otherwise, you will end up doing interview. Not the interview. Will end up doing. Maybe you have to do questionnaire. That will be. To my opinion, questionnaire ni will be the last choice lah in our area in social science ni. Questionnaire to just to support saja. For me, my opinion lah, I do a few research already in terms of social science ni. Questionnaire to just to support your idea. But if you want to know more about the problem, you must go to site visit. You must do field work. You must go to the school. You must see the teacher. You must visit the college. You must examine what kind of college is that. You're interested in tahfiz. You go to the visit tahfiz if that's possible lah. Kan? As I said, our field of study is very interesting. For me, in my opinion, Islamic study, the field of research, is very interesting. Just that we must figure out how to make it interesting, how to present it interestingly so people will listen to you lah. Kan? So do not make it too technical, but not too general juga. It must be combined, technical with general lah. Kan? So that's roughly lah. So roughly speaking, think about your sample as soon as possible. Jangan lambat. If you delay it, it will affect your title, it will affect your objective even. The objective also will change lah according to your sample. Because the sample gives you data. The data will determine what objective you will want to study. Kan? So try to determine your sample as soon as possible. I said, maybe first semester, second semester dah dapat. Especially primary data lah. I'm talking about primary data. If you are doing secondary data, there's no problem at all. Let's say data is from bank negara or from government department, from Department of Statistics, then there's no problem lah. Data is no problem. Then this one is not really big issue sangat lah, sample lah. Sample is problematic when you are doing primary data. But if you do second data, this one is not really a problem. The only problem is that which area lah. I mean, not which area, which period or which duration lah. So sample roughly, I give this one. It become technical, but I don't want to make technical. Roughly, what I mean by sample is that you must know your population lah. So your population ni apa? Is it let's say mu'allaf? Is it new mu'allaf? Including, because you're talking about mu'allaf, lebih mu'allaf only. You're talking about family and friends of mu'allaf, then family and friends mu'allaf, family and friends only. We're talking about the official from Majlis Agama, then official from Majlis Agama only. So you, if possible, do not mix population ni between mu'allaf, family, friends and family, and then the ni lah religion, Majlis Agama. At least three stakeholder lah, can call it stakeholder. The stakeholder yang, the first one will be the Majlis Agama, religious council. The second one will be friends and family. The third one may be the new convert itself. That's possible lah. So roughly that's the whole idea lah. I think you all know about this. The concept of population sample is you all know. The only problem is that you must identify who are actually your population, who you want to investigate. So if because if your main source of data is majlis agama, that's all you have, then your population is majlis agama in Malaysia lah. Melaka, Pahang, Sarawak, Sabah, Sarawak, Perlis, all that. That just become your population. Your population maybe become mufti of Malaysia. How many mufti in Malaysia? Itulah something like that. So it becomes different. So be careful about that lah. So I don't think I should give you too much about this. So basically we want to do sampling because it's impossible for you to do all the ni kan, impossible lah the entire population. Sometimes you don't know who are the population even. For example, drug addict. How do you know how many people drug addicts? How do you know how many people have converted into Islam? You don't know. Some are converted officially, some do not. You know what's that? Even the number also not. Sometimes it cannot define. It's not so. That's why the sampling is only possible way lah. Maybe budget juga. Maybe because you can only collect data from KL, Selangor only, up to you. Depends on budget. Depends also on your time lah. Because you only have 3 years to complete your data collection, so do not spend time 3 years for data collection lah. Maybe spend 1 semester, 2 semester cukup. Don't spend too much time on data. Result from data collection are needed quickly. So these are the reason lah why we do sampling. So this is very technical. I don't want to confuse you, but roughly speaking, sampling ada dua type of sampling. Sampling we call it probability on the left hand side, and the right side is non-probability lah. So rough idea apa dia? What do you mean? If we call it non-probability, meaning that the chances are not equal. The chances of your respondent to be selected are not equal among them. So one of the non-probability example is quota, snowball, convenience, purposive, self. Banyak nama, a lot of names here, but they all refer to them saying the same thing, which is some people, some respondent will have more chances to become your informant. That's the whole idea about non-probability lah. For probability pula, everybody has same chances to become your informant. That's the difference between these two lah. So ada banyak nama sana. So later on, maybe you have to discuss with the supervisor. Kalau tak discuss supervisor, maybe you can ask me pun boleh juga. Most of the lecturers knows about this subject, but I can guarantee you all of them know about this. It's a bit technical here. Simple random betul lah. So the only usually lah in our case we rarely use probability. we rarely use probability, mainly because when you want to do probability, you need the list. You need to know your at least some idea lah. Maybe you don't have complete list. You know where are your informants are. So you must identify your sampling frame lah. Frame means you want to do from Malaysia. We select only KL and Shah Alam. There's a frame, and then what is your suitable sample size lah. Okay. So suitable sample size will depend on your because we are doing questionnaire. So the sample size usually depends on your number of questions in your questionnaire. Something like that lah. Select the technique and sample, check the sample. So now okay, how many sample how many sample usually ada banyak cara, there are so many ways. One of the way that is common, we call it if I'm not mistaken nama dia the rule of five. Dia tak ada thumb of rule sangat, dia tak ada thumb of rule, rule of thumb tak ada. Usually sample size depends if you're doing questioning alone. Depends on your number of questions. For example, you have question. I'm not talking about what is your income, what is your where do you live. The questions the measurement item. For example, let's say your measurement item let's say you have 5 item. Let's say you have 5 variables. And that's all you have, 5 variables, and then inside the 5 there may be another 5 questions. So that means you have 5 variables or 5 constructs, and between the 5 constructs, let's say you have 5 items to measure the variable. Usually one variable have more than one measurement. For example, employment. Let's say your item of measurement is employment. So you have one, maybe 3 or 5 questions about employment for example. Like ada tak soalan sini? Oh, tak ada lah. I don't have questions ni. I don't have an example but never mind. So roughly is that you statistically speaking, for one question you need 5 5 respondent usually. It means if you have let's say 25 items of measurement. It's an example let me see. Tak ada lah, I don't have an example item measurement sini. Okay, tak apa. Okay, I maybe later on you can Google it. So that means roughly macam ni lah. Roughly the idea is that you have, let's say you have 5 variables, and then usually one variable have 5 item of measurement rarely only one. You only have at least 3 to 5 let's say 5 measurements. So 5 times 5 is 25. So times another 5 times because for every one question you need 5. You need at least 5 respondent That means 25 times 5. That's roughly the numbers That's numbers by the theory But it also have to depends on your this one you can find in your book in this textbook This one is, but you got to remember this one only applicable if you are doing survey. If you are doing interview, this table is not applicable to you. It's only for you if you're doing survey For interview, usually we use the concept of saturation. Remember the point of saturation. We meaning that let's say you have talked to 10 respondents. So all 10 respondents, the answer will give the same question. Same question, different respondents, same answer. That means you may conclude that it's already saturated. So 10 is enough. That is interview. But for this one, you cannot use this for interview. It's only for questionnaire survey. So for example, roughly so let's say you have maybe 5,000. Let's say 5,000 population. 5,000 population, and then your margin of error is about 95%. 95% is almost acceptable, common. 95%. Then your margin of error 2.5. Usually 5%. 5% is the biggest you can go that means the number is 1,176. Regardless of how many your item So just now mentioned is the some sort of like idea of how many respondents should have. So you have But I know that if you go to another apa ni, another literature, they give you different idea. Let's say you are doing SEM, structural equation modeling. This more advanced. It will not suggest you 1,000. It will be less than 1,000. That one I'm quite sure. Nonetheless, this gives you some idea lah. How many? This is from the book, from this book, Sounders. So roughly about, if you notice, the number is getting bigger and bigger when you reduce the error. That's logic. The logic is like that. As you reduce the margin of error from 5%, 300 something, reduce to 1%, it become 3,000. So a lot of different lah. Okay. So that's roughly how you calculate your your sample. Again, the sample, if you know the population size, if you don't know, then you have to do your. That's why I said just now. In most cases, kita tak tahu population size, but it doesn't mean that we cannot do probability. You can do, provided yang this one, okay. People may ask which one is more preferable. Of course, the one is more preferable is probability lah. Why probability? Because everybody has same chance to become informant. That's that's why probability is better than non-probability. However, like I said just now, it's impossible for you to do probability, because most likely, like I said lah, dia punya most of the time is that we don't have much. The issue here is the punya ni, we don't have the budget. The budget we don't have, because if you do sampling, if you do probability sampling, most likely you have to go to, let's say you reduce, you select your sample frame in KL Shah Alam only. So most likely your sample will be, if you go probability, your sample will be somewhere in Ceras, somewhere in Bangsa, somewhere in all our places KL lah. And you cannot choose only Ceras only, or only in Bangsa only. You cannot do that lah. So if you choose only Bangsa, then it becomes probability. Unless you change your topic, Bangsa only, that's become different. It becomes probability. So again, it depends on how you frame your title, the title of your study. So if your title of study is in Bangsa, and then your sample only in Bangsa, then most likely it can go probability lah. But again, this one is where I see students fail to deliver. I mean to deliver in terms of probability or non-probability. So you must explain properly lah. Don't do like my study is doing probability, tu je. You must explain how. Let's say you want. Let's say you are doing, let's say stratified lah, or cluster, whatever lah. Either stratified ke cluster or systematic. Let's say you are doing systematic. You must explain how you conduct, how you execute the probability. Explain in detail. Tak boleh. You cannot say we do this. I do data collection based on systematic sampling. One of using systematic probability sampling. That's it. You cannot do like that. You must explain who are your samples from where, step by step. So that means you start from here, sampling frame, sample size, teknik dia apa, sample, check the sample is representative lah, kan. So However, I can say that most of students don't can it's almost impossible for you to do probability sampling lah. Although it's can be done, but it's almost difficult lah, kan? Because of the timing, budget and time frame. Okay, so sample size sudah. Okay, this one I have to comment sikit. Importance of response rate. Okay, if you are doing, because this one is only relevant for a survey. However, is response rate ni tak relevant if you are doing, this one only relevant if you sign your questionnaire through email. That means you know who you are sending the email to. That means you know how many people you have sent. So if you send through WhatsApp, then you cannot call it response rate. You cannot calculate response rate. If you send your questionnaire through WhatsApp link, to Facebook link, all sorts of link lah. If you send by link, and then you cannot calculate response rate. Logically, you cannot calculate response rate lah, because you don't know who is clicking your link. Unless you go specific person, you send to, you know that these are the name of the person, you send by email. Okay lah, that's okay. Then you can calculate how many people that respond kan. Let's say you have sent to 2,000 people through email. Or nowadays nobody is sending post lagi anymore. Send by email or send by WhatsApp or whatever lah. Up to you. So you know that you send to 200 people and maybe 20 people has respond. That means your response rate is 10%. Kan? But you send link only, and then your friend blast link, disseminate the link to everyone within their circle, then you cannot calculate the response rate lah. And so why is it important of response rate? Because it tells you roughly, it will tell you that this kind of person respond to you. If you got higher number, it means better lah. Kan? The reason why you want higher response rate, because it will give you that, it will show that many people has give you answer, give you feedback. Kan? So the more the better lah. Kan? Because more people give you feedback mean more meaningful data lah. Otherwise, if only 5% respond only, then compared to, let's say, 50%, of course 50% can give you more feedback, kan? More information. Tak jelas dia punya idea. So, however, unfortunately, nowadays, this response rate become less and less relevant lah. Mainly because the way we distribute our questionnaire, it's no longer by email, it's no longer by post, it's through link. Link over link over link over link. So banyak link. So we have so many links. You don't know how many people already. So it become irrelevant lah. However, it can become relevant, kan? If you know who are if you know this one, if you know the population, then this one is okay. And let's say you know, let's say your sample is football player, professional football players in Malaysia, and that one, you know, let's say you have the number, you have the data, then you have response rate. Although you said the response is, although you send your questionnaire through WhatsApp, but do you get the response? Okay? And that one you can calculate response rate, because you know already how many professional football players in Malaysia. You know how many people, and then when you send your questionnaire, you get some numbers, so you can calculate lah. So does not mean that we use link. The link cannot. cannot become, cannot tell you about response rate. So it all logic lah, it all common sense lah, depends on your depends on your context lah, response rate ni. But no, usually you send link over links, that means you don't know how many, you don't know how far the link has traveled lah kan. Okay, agak panjang sikit, so maybe I'll just give you some idea je lah what is it all about. So simple random macam mana, systematic macam mana. So simple random basically adalah simple random meaning simple random basically you have, like I said now, let's say you have how many football players in Malaysia. Let's say we have about, let's say you have 20 football clubs in Malaysia, 20 professional football clubs. So in one football club, roughly, maybe they have 20 players. And so you just time lah, 20 times 20, about 400 players. So you know already just the number of, the name of the player. Maybe you don't know the names, but roughly you know. These are there are 400 professional football players in Malaysia, and then you can ideally you should have the number lah. Not number. Ideally you should have the number, the names and contact number. Ideally, so when you have the number, the contact number, then you can do simple random lah. So nowadays we use we call it random numbers generation. Okay. For information, random numbers number ni ada is if you go to your phone, you go to calculator, if you select scientific, okay, if you select scientific, sekejap let me clear my phone sekejap. If you go to, or maybe I go here, I show you here lah. Okay. I have example where is my calculator? Calculator, okay, here. I hope you can see my calculator. So this is my calculator. So in my calculator I can that is okay. I hope you can see my screen. That is what we call that. There is one here, RAND. RAND. That is random number between 0 and 1. So if you click rand, it gives you number. If you click rand again, it give you number. These are random numbers lah. Kan, macam tu lah kurang. So basically, how you operate this number, lebih kurang macam ni. Let's say you have 1,000. Let's say let's say you only have 100. Your population is 100. 100. Let's say 100 Syariah advisor lah. Okay, simple story. Let's say in Malaysia there are 100 Syariah registered Syariah advisor in Malaysia. You have the list of the name, you have the contact number semua. So how I'm going to choose by generate number? Let's say I want to select maybe out of 100, maybe I want to send questionnaire to maybe berapa? 100 berapa? Maybe let's say 50 lah. Let's say 50. Out of 100 Syariah advisor in Malaysia, I want to send questionnaire to 50 of them. Let's say lah 50 of them. Kalau tak semua boleh juga, tak ada masalah pun. Let's say mudah cerita lah 50. So how I use this number? I click rand 24. So I must times by 100 lah. So this one become person number 24 lah. Okay, 24. I click rand again. This person number 89. Itulah kurang. Click again rand, person number 37. Click again person number 10. Click again person number 55. I remove the decimal here to go forward lah. Depends on your number of respondent lah. In my case, I got 100, so I just time it by 2 je lah. count number 55, something like that. So this whole idea lah become, is how you operate simple random sampling. Meaning simple random sampling ni you must have the list lah. If you don't have the list of your respondent or not respondent, the list of your population, then you cannot use this random sampling lah. So meaning to say simple random sampling ni, if you have your population, you have the list. Maybe you are working in, you are the registrar of the company atau university lah, for example. So you have a list of name of student in UM. You know the names, you know the faculty and everything. So you can use this simple random sampling lah. Can do that. It sounds possible. But if you don't have that number, let's say you have your number is just now I said about the new mu'allaf. You don't have the number, so it become it is impossible for you to use simple random sampling lah. It becomes non-probability, because you don't know who they are. So usually simple random sampling ni, you know. Of course you know. I mean the list is there. You have the list lah. Maybe the list of Syariah advisor, the list of Mufti in Malaysia, the list of Qadi in Malaysia, or the list of whatever lah, lecturers in Malaysia, possible juga. You can get. Okay, so as long as you have a list of random the population, I'm talking about population, sample, then you can do simple random sampling lah. Okay, and then you can systematic random sampling ni basically systematic random sampling ni usually same like just now, the only difference that for systematic random sampling ni, it is possible that you don't have the list. Sometimes this one data ni systematic random sampling ni does not, the requirement does not necessarily you must have the list. Sometimes you don't have necessarily to have the list lah. Macam mana, how you are going to execute, maybe macam ni lah lebih kurang. Let's say you want to know the opinion of people visiting the mosque, for example. For example, the mosque or pejabat agama or whatever lah. So this one you don't have the number. Impossible for you to have the number of customer who will come to the shop lah, for example. You don't know how many people will go to the shop in a day, and that means you can use systematic random sampling lah. How? Maybe you come every it means you will ask the respondent every 10. So you calculate, the way you calculate this, you calculate in terms of number lah. Ada tak gambar sini? Oh, tak ada gambar lah. Okay, tak apalah. The last screen I have ada gambar. So roughly is that systematic ni basically you imagine you are in a factory. Imagine you are working in a factory. Katalah this glass. Let's say this glass, this factory producing glass. Imagine you're working in a factory. So you want to do systematic random sampling to check whether the glass ni ada, is there any defect in the glass. So you count, let's say for every 100 glass yang datang tu, you pick up, you pick and you tengok ada rosak tak, is there any defect tak. So that's become, so every 100 you take one, every 100 you take one. Of course you don't have to stay, don't have to stay in the on the floor lah. You can just the machine whatever lah, so the machine can select every 100 lah. So you come so every 100 you examine the glass ni rosak ke tak rosak lah, something like that. So that's kalau in the factory. So that means you can use the idea outside lah, in the shop ke, in the malls, whatever lah. People who come to your shop, maybe every 10 kita akan tanya dia. Every 10 people, we will ask them about any question you are interested in lah. Okay. So that's the whole idea in terms of systematic lah. What else? Certified. Okay, certified dengan cluster. Certified and cluster ni okay, macam ni lebih kurang. Certified and cluster, many people confuse these two, because dia punya nama is close, the meaning about the same, but the approach lain sikit. Certified meaning, certified ni meaning you are within the group and there are similarities. That's we call stratified lah. Nak cakap juga. So stratified ni, contoh stratified is that within the group, this one for example, I share with you this, let's say my own study lah. So this one, okay, let's say this data, this can become one stratified lah. Stratified ni. Okay, this one can become one stratified. Examples. Display table. Okay. Okay, can you see this one? Owner, this one is restaurant business owner. This is restaurants lah. So if you think about certified is like this. So let's say you have Muslim on restaurants owned by Malay Muslim. Of course, Malay Muslim lah. That become one stratified. One strata. Strata number 1 is Malay owned restaurant. Strata number 1. Strata number 2 is restaurants owned by Indian Muslims. That's strata number 2. And strata number 3 is any restaurants that owned by multinational ke, it could be franchise ke, non-Muslim, anything like that, the rest. So in this case, there are 3 strata. Strata number 1 is Malay owned restaurant. Strata number 2, Muslim juga but Indian Muslim. Strata number 3 is non-Muslim. So that's called strata lah. In this strata, of course, in this Muslim Malay owned restaurant, there are a lot of restaurants. With the Indians, there are a lot of restaurants. With the international, all of. So which means there are 3 groups. 3 groups, 3 strata lah. So that's called strata. So between the strata, you can choose what is your respondent lah. So that's the concept of strata. So now, what's different between strata and cluster? Okay, cluster different skin. Cluster is different. So cluster, this one. Cluster is like this. This sounds like cluster lah. Yes, cluster. Oh, tak ada, no friend. So cluster is like this. Okay, I'll give back to this restaurant again. So cluster is like this. So you have Muslim, Malay, Indian, non-Muslim. So this cluster number 1. So cluster ni is, let's say this cluster in Bangsa. That's one cluster. And then you go again, all restaurants that are Muslim, Indian, non-Muslim. Let's say this cluster in Bangi. That's cluster number 2. But they must all have this 3 lah. All cluster must consist this 3 lah. Then you go to, because of course these are restaurants and the restaurants does not move from one place to the other kan? So they are not moving kan? Restaurant to fix their one particular address lah. So cluster number 1 is all restaurants, Malay Muslim, Malay pun dia, Indian pun dia, Indian Muslim pun dia, non-Muslim pun dia. All that cluster number 1, let's say maybe in PJ, maybe section 17 ke. Then another PJ juga, maybe section 7. Boleh juga, no problem. As long as they're all unique, they tak overlap. As long as they're not overlap each other lah. Meaning to say, let's say this particular restaurant does not appear in another cluster lah. So the cluster tu, the element out of the restaurants in that cluster tak boleh appear the same time again, the same and the next cluster lah. Same with strata. So if I choose this strata, this is Malay, this strata number 1 Malay, strata number 2 Indian, strata number 3 non-Muslim lah. That means the strata ni tak boleh appear, Malay ni tak boleh pergi ke Indian, so tak boleh mix around lah. So that's all idea lah buat ni. A bit complicated sikit, tapi tak lah, not so complicated lah. Just to define the cluster lah. So this one multi-stage ni, if you got this one is if I go to the restaurant ni, it become cantik lagi kurang. So multi-stage lah. So roughly that's how we do probability. So last one is non-probability lah. So probability ni simple saja. Like I said, if you don't do any of this, it goes automatically, it becomes non-probability lah. If you don't do any of the you don't do any random, simple random, you don't do systematic, you don't do stratified, you don't do cluster, it automatically it goes under non-probability lah. So the only things that the non-probability is there are many names lah for that, many methods lah. So maybe you can call it quota. Quota means in the case of restaurant just now, you must zoom in.
Doktor cik Iwan sikit boleh? Nak tanya sikit ya. Sorry, back to yang multi-stage tadi tu. Multi-stage, we already determine, we already classified, narrow down kan dia punya sampling tu kan, makin kecil tu. Let's say lah, macam saya nak buat kualitatif lah katakan, saya dah already determine 40 sampel lah kan, responden kan. And then saya tak nak buat 40 tu ke semua 40 tu, saya nak ambil dalam 20 je. So that one consider is multi-stage or what?
Itulah macam reverse engineer lah tu. Sebab multi-stage ni basically kita start pada atas dulu.
Yalah.
So kalau that means you start pada bawah tu. That means you start from 20 dulu and then you move up.
Dia gini, let's say katakanlah saya nak buat satu kajian mengenai kejayaan entrepreneur lah katakan. Okay. Salah satunya faktornya, we consider the factor is dia punya productivity ataupun turnover lah katakan. Okay, we capping dia punya turnover dia katakanlah 100,000k a year, which is 100k a month lah. Okay. So I dapat sampel tu 100k a month tu, katakanlah ada 40 orang yang qualified untuk 100k a month untuk selama 3 tahun berturut-turut katakan kan. Consistency lah, ada consistency tu. So that one itu consider sampling apa tadi, dari dikatakan 40 orang tadi tu, saya nak ambil 20 orang je. 20 orang tu consider, ataupun saya kena ambil semua 40 orang je?
That means you dah ada sample. I mean you dah ada list of population.
Yes.
You dah ada list of population. It goes it can call it it becomes under random lah tu. Dia become random. That means the simple random sampling ni meaning you have your list tu. You dah ada list of population. Let's say billionaire in Malaysia. You ada 10 orang.
Yes. Okay.
Dia bukan simple random lah. Kalau nak buat semua sekali tak panggil sampling lah, panggil population lah. So
tapi dari 10 tu saya nak ambil 5 je. Can I choose the top 5 saja? Itu nak sampling ke apa tu? Macam mana tu?
Okay, now I want to ask you that means population dah ada? Ada. Complete population,
Complete, insyaAllah.
Complete. That means let's say you ada 40 lah.
40 lah katakan.
let's say 40 lah.
Okay.
Let's say 40, then you can use simple random sampling.
Simple random sampling.
Meaning
sekejap actually sikit. Dari 40 tadi sebut tu, I dah rank kan. Top 1 to 40 lah katakan. The highest sampai the lowest lah. So can I choose the top 20 tu?
Tapi kalau you choose top 20, dia tak become simple random lah.
Okay.
Sebab dia punya syarat dia, the requirement for simple random ni, everybody must have equal chance.
Equal chance, betul.
So kalau you dah select only 20 je, then yang bawah tu tak dapat lah, dah higher, you got the better chance become your informant lah.
Betul.
So dia tak become, although you have the list, you have list population, tapi you dah choose I only want the top 20 je. So you cannot call it simple random lah. Dia dah jadi macam tadi dia jadi macam, you can call it maybe call it dia jadi become non-random lah. Non-sampling
Okay.
So let's say macam
select sampling tu.
Kalau mungkin kalau nak kata quota bukan quota basically means in Malaysia kita ada ramai Melayu, lot of Malay. So it means your sampling must lot of Malay lah compared to Chinese. That's quota basically idea. Maybe you can call it purposive. Maybe your purpose, you want to collect the top 50 in terms of sale. Maybe you can call it purposive lah. Maybe call it purposive. Snowball tidak. Snowball different. Snowball ni is that you select one participant and the participant will suggest to you, okay, you go to this person. This person can give you information. This one snowball. I mean snowball from one, the informant will suggest to you, you go see this person. Perhaps the person can help you. So it become more and more and more. This one snowball lah. Tapi kalau the one you said just now, maybe you can call that
purposive, right?
Maybe purposive lah. It looks like purposive to me lah.
Okay.
Kalau you want to make it simple random, boleh, because you only have 40. And anything that less than 100, in my opinion, it can go manageable lah. It can go simple random. Tinggal lagi macam cakap tadi, let's say you have simple random, you tak boleh select lah. You tak boleh select only the top 100 ke ataupun top 40 ke. So simple random meaning macam ambil
postcoin lah.
Postcoin lah, ataupun ambil random number ke apa ke, pakai ni kan, ballot ke apa ke kan.
Okay, baik.
Yes, tu boleh lah kan. Ballot lah senang kot. Tapi kalau problem is that kalau dia jauh tu, you have to travel jauh lah kan.
Betul. Tapi kita is not recommended we choose the top 20 tu lah.
Tak juga
kan. Kalau purposive sampling boleh juga macam tu kan.
Boleh juga, because it goes back to your question tadi lah, research RQ tu, research question. Your research question sebenarnya apa? Then you have to modify sikit lah. If you choose only top 20, then your research question will become,
ada argument lah kira, ada reason lah why we choose the top 20 tu kan.
Tidaklah kata simple random always better. Depends on your depends on your RQ juga, research question lah. Tapi mudah kata, if you don't do simple random sampling, you don't do systematic, you don't do certified, you don't do cluster, automatically that can goes probability lah. Kan, basically that's the whole idea lah. So roughly,
thank you Doctor, sorry for everybody panjang sikit. Okay,
no worries. Saya rasa I think that haphazard ni apa dia? Haphazard sampling. Jarang dengar haphazard sampling. Usually I usually heard people talk about purposive. Okay, that's basically inilah. So kalau ada soalan bertanya, before last kali, and I want to talk roughly lah. This one is I think everyone knows, just that sometimes I have to highlight juga lah, because actually this topic supposed to be discussed by the librarian, tapi since librarian dah tukar, so I just pick up this one lah. Last topic lah, plagiarism. plagiarism ni important for you because we have cases. We have cases in Mesti Malaya where student do plagiarism. So very important for you to understand sebab sometimes jarang lah, it's very rare for us to terminate you, but in most cases we will ask you to depend on the case juga lah. So far what I come across, this particular student, it happened I think 2 years ago. Okay, 2 years ago it happened. The examiner found out that these two students, we don't know who they are. I mean, we know who they are, but we don't know who copy who. Because when coincidentally the examiner, the same examiner, examining two different theses from two different students, but the content sama, exactly same, only different. The paragraph to appear in different chapter. So kebetulan lah, coincidentally the examiner to these two same examiners, but two different students. I bet if this thesis sent to different examiner, budak ni akan lepas. This two students will pass. So that's why I said this one becomes your honesty lah. You must honest to yourself lah, that you don't copy student. I mean, because maybe you live next to each other, maybe your neighbors, maybe your office mate ke apa ke, but do not plagiat lah. Okay, so plagiat is basically why this one matters, because integrity is very important. So if you are not honest to your job, it's not good lah. Although you be careful lah, even though sometimes the paper that or maybe your thesis or whatever lah, you do maybe 10 years ago or maybe 20 years ago, but when people found out, they will still you will still be affected. Even though that article that thesis 20-30 years ago, but if people found out that something wrong is there, they can trace you, and then maybe you will lose your position or whatever lah. So be careful about that lah. Integrity very very important. It happens in a few cases in Malaysia already, where the lecturer or the professor or whatever lah cheat for the thesis. A few has been caught. So integrity is very important because it's what we are doing lah. Integrity of your work lah. So plagiarism damage academic professional semua lah, including your supervisor juga. So serious offence in academic world. Plagiarism is very serious offence. It may cost you. It may cost your career. Be careful about that lah. So what is plagiarism? Basically, plagiarism means you copy someone's work. Copy is common. Copy, if you watch movie ke TV ke, copy je cerita tu sama, or recycle. You watch apa saja movie, you watch any kind of novel, watch any kind of thesis, most of it are same thing. Repeat, almost recycle. Tinggal lagi, only difference that what is that the context could be different, the setting could be different, the variable will be different. Itulah. So the problem with plagiarism is that you copy someone's work and you claim it as yours. That's basically what's plagiarism lah. So it could be text, in your case text lah. The data could be fabricated, could be fake data. Image usually budak-budak science students. Image of X-ray. image of what kind of image lah in science banyak concept ke structure ke intent does not matter. So as long as you copy the work and then you don't you don't make reference lah, you claim, meaning when you don't cite the name, as it means that it is your own work. So be careful about this lah. I know it's a bit difficult for you to do that. Takkan every takkan every sentence nak kena ada citation it's possible lah, but at least for one paragraph tu at least one paragraph there must be one reference lah, and unless that paragraph is your own idea, usually the one that your own idea, you don't have to give reference lah, and so that's basically plagiarism. I mean, you present someone work idea, but you don't cite. When you don't cite, indirectly you claim it is yours. The moment you don't cite the punya work, that's why when you any reference, any diagram ke, concept ke, model ke apa ke, you must put who are the reference, what are the reference lah. And so you tak boleh you cannot leave it as it is. So why student plagiarism? Basically nak cepat lah, time pressure. Pressure, maybe the punya understanding pun not very good, or misunderstanding common knowledge ke ataupun reference. AI pun okay juga. It's not like you cannot use AI. Use AI, no worries about that, but make sure you cross check and double check. Why student plagiarism? So basically what usually student, because of time pressure lah, when they're in hurry to do things, you forget to put citation. So usually for me lah, when I examine my student, for every paragraph that unless that's his own idea lah, I must see at least one reference lah for every paragraph. Not every sentence lah, it's impossible susah nak baca pula. So at least one paragraph to one citation lah, and that's the usually begitulah. Sometimes could be more than one, but jangan pula every sentence lah, that's ridiculously banyak sangat. So you must have your reference lah. Type plagiarism usually adalah direct, and direct meaning you langsung tak quote siapa-siapa. So you just give your own idea, your own concept, model ke apa ke, tak langsung tak ada. So let me see. I think my slide ada something about that. Okay. I think kat bawah ni ada description there roughly. So direct plagiarism meaning you directly from the sources. Yang I think better ada 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ada 7. Okay, maybe I read roughly lah. Sekejap je, at least so that you aware lah. So direct mean you copy word for word without citation, and then copy paste from outside. Article pun tak ada reference juga. If you quotation marks ni meaning you take direct word by word, word by word, then you have quotation lah, open quotation, close quotation. Itu kalau you ambil direct quotation. So you must have your reference lah kat sana. So that's direct plagiarism. Yang patch pula meaning mosaic ni basically take from many sources and then you combine together. So that's what we call that patch, mosaic ataupun patch lah. So possible juga. This one's quite sometimes quite difficult for lecturer to detect juga. Usually this one what happens usually this one lah. Kalau direct ni agak quite easy to detect. Tapi kalau yang this one mosaic or patchwork ni slightly difficult sikit, but with AI nowadays I'm quite sure we can catch. We can. That's why when you submit your thesis kan, we ask you to send your ni juga PDF PDF Word lah, so that we can select, do some random check. Ada tak plagiarism lah kan? Not, of course not every pages lah, but at least a few pages kita buat some random check lah. Plagiarism, and then direct plagiarism, match work, and then paraphrase. Ini yang paraphrase ni as long as you are giving the citation, this one you are safe lah. You can paraphrasing, changing only words but keeping structure, same logic flow as sequencing, it requires writing citation. So that means this one is a bit difficult. It's not a bit difficult lah. For me, this one, I would say the most difficult part to catch plagiarism when you paraphrase lah. But as long as you are, if you are referencing it, tak apa. Tapi usually kalau you are doing it, especially if those are doing in Arabic, Arabic or English lah. Mungkin Melayu agak sukar sikit. If you are doing Malay, maybe it's a bit difficult mainly because Malay words not that many in terms of the quantity of words. Malay words ni is not as many as English or Arabic words. So if you are doing Malay, it's quite easy for us to catch you lah. If you are doing, if you are quote somebody else work and then you tak bagi reference. So always to be safe, when you quote somebody else work, you must mention the ni lah, dia punya reference. That's the whole idea lah. Make sure you do your reference. Self-plagiarism. So self-plagiarism ni usually what happen is that you have your own, say, usually this one happen among lecturers lah. Among students a bit difficult because usually if you want to cite ni your old papers ataupun your old thesis, which means self-plagiarism usually, let's say you are a lecturer lah. You have, let's say you have 10 macam mana buat self-plagiarism macam mana? Self-plagiarism ni, wait a minute, self-plagiarism okay, I'm not so sure about the first one because one also I take from other people work. Usually yang first one ni jarang lah. Normally yang what's happening is here. What happening is number 3 because for number 1, number 2 ni it's not really an issue sangat. It's not really issue. Usually yang saya pernah tengok lah, the one that I saw is that let's say I have published one paper kan, and then I quote my own paper. That one that's common. We quote our own paper lah, we recite our own paper. As long as you put your name sana lah. Yang this one usually self-plagiarism ni usually kalau assignment lah, assignment ataupun thesis lah, yang possible lah. This one consider plagiarism juga. This one, the first one usually for students. Untuk lecturer jarang lah. For lecturer usually this one, number 3. Meaning to say same work sent to different journal. This one tak boleh lah. This one under plagiarism juga. For the first one usually this one applicable to student. Applicable to student, especially when you have this one's a bit rare lah, because normally it happens for students who have more than one master, and then they want to do some, let's say that they have two master before that, and they want to do PhD, and they combine these two and they send as their own PhD. That mean tak ada submitting the same thing lah basically. The idea is that submitting the same thing can become plagiarism juga lah, because benda sama, meaning to say you want to claim as two different material, two different works lah. That's basically what self plagiarism means lah. Actually you only have one, but you claim it as two lah. Melainkan memang you ada two different idea, two different ideas. Let's say you, for example, you some sort like the theory of A, and then you have theory of B, then different story. You have the same theory A juga, tapi different journal, possible juga. So this one is very rare. Usually for students who are doing more than one master lah. This one usually bunyi macam ni. I rarely say this lah, except for lecturers. Meaning they send the same paper, exactly the same paper to the different journal. Data figure ni biasa berlaku, meaning using somebody else's data without acknowledging, tak boleh. That means if you are doing data from Facebook, YouTube, you must ask for permission lah. So that's very important. Data figure plagiarism. Using other data, graph and data. So you must obtain permission if you are using YouTube, someone's YouTube. You must have permission. That one is common. That is kata apa, public knowledge lah. So copy image without permission sama juga. Using Google image without citation. So that means everything that you use for your thesis too, every data you must have, either you ask permission if the data has usually YouTube, you have to ask permission. You send the email lah, or sometimes YouTube ni agak bit funny sikit. A bit funny sikit YouTube ni, because sometimes actually macam ni, with regard to public data macam ni, the issue with public data is that you don't have to ask permission. By default, any public data, you don't have to ask permission. You can use as it is, as long as you give reference lah. But if the owner says that you must ask permission, then you have to ask permission. Sometimes you can see some of the video, you can it's explicit, the owner spell out explicitly. Dia kata sana users must obtain permission. If the owner tulis begitu, then have to ask permission lah. But if the owner of the YouTube or Facebook doesn't say anything like that, then it becomes public data. So and become public data, you would have to ask, contact them, email them, ask for permission. You can straight away quote as it is lah, unless the owner mentioned that you have asked permission. I've not yet heard anything before lah. But the rule lebih kurangnya, the rule of thumb normally like that. Any public data, example newspaper, appear on newspaper, anything that appear on website, you can take it straight away lah. Meaning kena ada reference, you must make it reference. The only thing is that if the owner say you must obtain permission, then you must ask permission lah. Send email itu lebih kurang. Okay, what else? Collusion and contracting, cheating. Okay, ini memang berasa, this one is actually happen. Meaning that students ask somebody else to do their work. Outsourcing lah basically. Okay, this one I know some people not everyone can do everything. You have to ask somebody, maybe to ask them to collect data on your behalf ke, maybe ask someone to take photo ke, whatever lah. Possible juga. It's not like cannot do at all. You can do that, but you must whoever is helping you, you must put reference ataupun give some remarks lah. Because you got to understand, you may not understand the whole everything in your thesis lah. Especially sometimes I know that some students are doing structural equation modeling. When you're using structural equation modeling SEM, it's not easy. You need to use software. You need to have software. You need somebody to do. But if you ask somebody else to do, it is okay. But you must know that. But you must know how to interpret the data lah. Jangan pula you pay 100% to that person to do the statistics work, and the person do the analysis for you, and you just copy and paste. That one that is completely cheating lah. So you can ask somebody to do the work for you. Of course, you some of the things you don't fully understand how to use, right? But at least you know how to interpret lah. I'm talking about statistics. I know some students pay somebody. This one happen usually among those who have money lah, basically. Those who have money, especially those coming from the Middle East, they have a lot of money. They ask somebody to do statistics for them. This one, unfortunately, I saw some of them managed to pass. I'm not accusing, but this is from what I see on my own. Luckily lah, he passed. How do I know that? How do I know? Because when you look at the thesis, a lot of statistics. 100% statistics, right? Because the student is doing questionnaire. So when you're doing questionnaire, everything must be statistics. There's no other things other than statistics. So because there's no interview, there's no observations of everything about the study is questionnaire. So when the data is questionnaire, however, the student got lucky lah. The examiner don't ask much about the statistics. But we can tell. Can tell that this one cannot be something wrong lah. When you study statistics, you know that some of the statistics you can copy. You can easily copy the statistics from one work to the other work. Just play around a bit of numbers. You can cheat. I know that. I know people can do that. Some people have also done it, and they get away with that. But like I said, don't do that lah. Because it's between you and Allah Ta'ala lah. You're honest to yourself lah. Don't do that. If you ask somebody to do work for you, you must learn at least learn how to interpret statistics lah. Okay, last one. Click that AI. Okay, AI. AI, okay, tak ada masalah. Nowadays AI is common. Tinggal lagi be careful. Like it says now here, ada banyak fake citations. Fake citation, and what they call what is written by AI is not accurate. Maybe half accurate. So be careful about that. And then code as your own. AI nowadays become a big challenge in academic world because it's difficult now to distinguish, to differentiate which one is AI, which one is yours lah. And even I myself also, I also use AI, but the only problem with AI is that many AI give you fake citations. Citations it's not genuine. sometimes dia punya argument pun it can argue lah, is it correct or not. So careful about AI. Although I know AI is widely used, careful. Check you can check again with, you must cross check with Google Scholar. Ada tak? Is the reference exist in Google Scholar or not? If it does not exist, most likely is fake lah. And last one, okay, serius banyaknya. Tak sikit. Bila good I think I can share with you this slide. It's not a problem there. What is not plagiarism is something that is common lah. So once something is not common knowledge, you don't have to cite the reference. When you some of the knowledge are common within your own society. For example, riba is haram. That's common knowledge. Tak quote pun tak apa. Properly cited quotations, it means quotation must have that thesis. Ideas too, you paraphrase that one ideas and your own original analysis lah. So these are why we call it, usually if you have reference, you mostly safe lah, kan? I think that's all lah. Okay, how plagiarism is detected nowadays? Turn it in lah. Okay, turn it in. But turn it in also have difficult. It's not perfect lah, but at least turn it in can be useful. So learn to use turn it in. I hope you all learn to use how to use turn it in. It's free of charge. In terms of plagiarism lah. So turn it in is that turn it in basically to show how many percentage. Turn it in, it's not perfect. Just show similarities there. Whether what you write similar with the original or not. It's not plagiarism. So high similarity is not always bad lah. So you must interpret matters lah. However, these others got guideline for turn it in. So nowadays, you still have to submit your turn it in. This turn it in is compulsory still. So usually when you have less than 20%, that is acceptable lah. Okay, but if we have more than 20%, this one turn it in similarity. English ke Malay ke Arabic ke, doesn't matter. As long as similarity to more than 20%, you have to rephrase lah. Rephrase and then this one doesn't matter whether you ada citation, tak ada citation. Just check about similarity sahaja, whether you take directly from the sources or not lah. Okay. So last, I think that's almost dead lah kot. To paraphrase correctly, usually paraphrase ni setengah nak habis dah. Saya ingat banyak sangat kan. Mungkin saya habis kot. Paraphrase usually you have to use your own word lah. Nowadays kita ada banyak cara. You can use AI to rephrase for you kan. Do not take it as is this lah. Right. Assemble back a good paraphrase, changing only a few words, rewriting concept actually with citation. So you must, a good one is you must the long sentence to rewrite it and add citation lah, reference. The one that is not a good one is the changing a few words and then that's it. Tak ada no citations. Okay, referencing best practice. So use consistent citation. So that's why dalam academic world ni you need citation. Use EndNote pun boleh. Use Mendeley pun boleh. I'm familiar with EndNote. I'm familiar with Mendeley. I have never used Zotero. Can try it out. But I'm familiar with EndNote and Mendeley lah. These are the citation. For thesis writing, I recommend to use this at least either EndNote or Mendeley lah. Because we are going to write 50,000 words. So when you have more than 60,000 words, you need something ni lah, the tools to help you lah. Kalau artikel tak apa lagi, you can use for article maybe you don't need EndNote, but for thesis you need EndNote because your word can be, your number of words is too many to handle. So avoid plagiarism. Case study ke? Okay, banyaklah pula atau sikit je. This one take from AI punya recommendation. Case study for discussion. Tak apa, I can skip this one. Penalties. So this one careful lah. Most likely you akan ada. So far the one that I see is that dia tak warning lah, tapi dia failing failing grades ni. Because kita depends on case by case lah. Kalau nampak teruk sangat, will be suspension, expulsion, termination basically. So for expectation is that you must show your original thinking, demonstrate critical analysis, outline. So it's nampak macam mudah, tapi for me as supervisor pun it's not easy. It's not easy for me to detect it's not AI ke tak AI, it's your own work ke tak your own work. But as long as I see references in every paragraph tu, I can feel safe sikit lah. Because not everyone knows everything kan. So final advice is that plagiarism is ethical issue lah. So you must you must take seriously your work lah. So any work that you do must be original. Do not fabricate a data lah, because data is easy to fabricate. It's very easy to fake your questionnaire, very easy to fake your data kan. So don't do that lah. It's between you, like I say again, it's between you Allah Ta'ala lah. I know somebody get even professor but the data is but sooner or later you will get caught. So don't do that lah. So this is very serious work. Okay, itu je lah from me. Sorry take long time until 12:30, but still within 3 hours time lah. So ada apa nak tanya ke, ada issue ke?
Doktor, next week semester break kan?
Semester break tak ada kelas
Next week tak ada kelas confirm
Tak ada kelas. Okay, so I hope I can see you in person at the faculty. So I will share with you this slide, and I don't think I have any more to say lah. So hopefully you all have a good rest again. Hopefully you have get something from my session lah. Okay. Assalamualaikum. See you later. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih doktor.